WACT News begins now with breaking news.
And breaking news, we just learned New Hanover High School is on lockdown amid a large law enforcement presence at the school. We know multiple agencies are on scene right now. Sheriff's officials telling us one student was shot at the school. No word on the extent of their injuries. There's no word if this is an active shooter situation. However, students are being evacuated to Williston Middle School. This is a live look at the scene right now. There is a huge police presence there. Parents, you're being asked to pick up your children from the MLK Center once the school has done an accurate head count. Do not head to the high school. Go to the MLK Center to pick up your child. It'll make things less confusing if you stay away from this scene.
WACT News begins now with breaking news.
The latest here at 4 on that shooting at New Hanover High School. One student was shot and rushed to the hospital earlier today. We're told that students' injuries are not life-threatening. Meanwhile, 15-year-old Chance Diablo was arrested and charged.
WACT News begins now with breaking news.
Terrifying moments at a local high school. A fight on the campus of New Hanover High School leads to a shooting. This took place just before 11 o'clock this morning. This video shows the events leading up to the shooting and the moment shots were fired at the school. Now, one student was injured. A 15-year-old has now been charged in that shooting. Good evening, everyone. I'm Frances Weller coming to you live from New Hanover High School, where a shooting did take place just hours ago here on campus. The New Hanover County School Board of Education holding a news conference that is going to take place in just a moment, and we're going to go to that and listen in live once that news conference takes place. Now, we do have team coverage of this shooting. Cassie Simmons talked to parents at the MLK Center, where students were evacuated after the shooting, and Kendall McGee has been at the scene for hours after the shooting happened here on the campus of New Hanover High School. Let's begin with Kendall McGee, who has been following this from the very moment the shooting started. All right, Kendall, what's the latest?
Yeah, well, Fran, about an hour or two ago, they opened up Market Street again. And just in the last hour, I've watched teachers and students come back in the school with their book bags to pick up their belongings and sort of reunite after a very crazy afternoon. Now, when we did get here around 3 o'clock, it was a much more active scene. Helicopter in the air, heavily armed officers leaving the school with body armor, signaling that it had been officially cleared of students. As for the victim in the shooting today, we know that they were rushed to the hospital, but that they did not have life-threatening injuries and should survive. Leaders haven't been able to update us on their condition, though. During the press conference, officials confirmed 15-year-old student Chance Diablo had been arrested. Now, the sheriff tells us that the shooter wasn't taken into custody at the school. They can't tell us exactly where or how he was arrested, but we do know that it was not here at New Hanover High School. The sheriff, though, was able to confirm where the shooting happened, in the catwalk between the two buildings here at the school. The sheriff, police chief, DA, and mayor were all at the press briefing today. And the point that they continued to make was that this kind of violence is unacceptable, and it's something that they're taking extremely seriously. We do know that several of these leaders have seen the video that we opened the newscast with, and it's a sight the sheriff himself described as terrifying.
We were lucky today. I saw that video, and to see a gentleman, or not a gentleman, but a person that took matters into their own hands and started shooting a gun in a crowded school is unfathomable. We're not going to tolerate it, and I appreciate everybody's efforts here. This culture of retaliation has got to stop. We're going to use all of our resources to make sure that it stops.
Of course, there are still several questions about the shooting today and what happened before the shooting, and we're going to continue to dig for those answers, and we'll be bringing you updates throughout the evening here on WECT. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Kendall. Now, as you have seen in the video, students were safely evacuated from here at New Hanover High School. They were taken to Williston Middle School, and we are told that parents picked them up at the Martin Luther King Center. That's where we find Cassie Simmons right now, and she joins us. So, Cassie, what are you hearing from parents here? This had to be horrifying for them to hear.
It was, Fran. It was absolutely every parent's worst nightmare. So, of course, tensions and frustrations alike were high here as they gathered at MLK Center to hopefully meet up with their students when they got here. Now, of course, parents were told to come to the MLK Center while their students were at Williston Middle, like you said, to get that head count. But it took hours upon hours, and that sent many into a very frustrated cycle of asking questions, not knowing what the answers would be. And it took several hours. The last family, I believe, just left around 4 o'clock. That was when they finally were reunited with their students. Parents I talked to who have children in the high school and in Williston Middle School tell me they spent most of the day just wanting to know that their children was safe and both physically and emotionally okay. And that news, of course, was horrifying to get this morning.
Devastated, like it's pretty scary to hear, you know what I mean? So I jumped in my truck and came straight here.
Now, that parent did tell me that he's not sure if he feels comfortable sending his son back to class after today's incident. Another student I spoke with said that he'll go back to class, but he does hope that he gets the next day or so off to recover from this very traumatic experience, Fran.
All right, very traumatic indeed. Thanks so much for that update, Cassie Simmons. All right, let's recap what happened here today at New Hanover High School. A student was shot following an argument here on campus. We do not know the student's condition, but we have been told that the student's condition is not life-threatening. Now, moments after the shooting, this video was shared across social media. It shows a fight in the hallway of New Hanover High School. Now, toward the end of this video, 3 gunshots can clearly be heard. One student was injured and is in the hospital. Once again, we are told the condition of that student is not life-threatening. 15-year-old Chance Diablo has been taken into custody, and tonight facing several charges, including attempted murder. We're told the student injured is expected to survive. Chance Diablo now behind bars. No other students were injured. We will continue to follow any developments in this shooting on air and online on WECT.com and the WECT News app. The app, we want to remind you, is free to download. You will get any updates. Just make sure you have breaking news alerts turned on. Our live coverage will continue tonight at 6 o'clock. In the meantime, I'm Frances Weller reporting live from New Hanover High School, where a shooting took place earlier today. Let's send things to Ashley in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Fran. And we are hearing that press conference from New Hanover County Schools just started. Let's go live to the press conference. This is Dr. Charles Faust, the superintendent of schools.
New Hanover County Schools. And as superintendent, this is not a conversation that I would ever wish to have. I know I speak for myself, our Board of Education, our school leaders, and our teachers and staff when I say that nothing that matters to us more than student safety. Nothing. If we don't get that right, then everything else we're working towards as educators will fall short. When our families send our children, their students, their children to school every morning, they trust us. They want us to return their children back to them the way they dropped them off to us. We work hard every day to keep that trust. Today, one of our New Hanover County school families got a call that every parent's nightmare. And many of our students and families experience the kind of fear, shock, and uncertainty that we never want associated with one of our schools.
Just a short time ago, I spoke to a student here at New Hanover High School who was actually on that catwalk when the shooting broke out. This is a student who is actually on the football team here at New Hanover High School. He describes the very terrifying moments.
I was actually walking up the stairs, and as soon as I got on top of the catwalk, I was just walking with my buddies, and then all of a sudden I hear 3 loud pops. and it was very hard to hear. At first, I didn't really think much of it. I just remember walking by, and then all of a sudden I see people screaming and hollering.
All right, it was a frightening moment for students who were here at New Hanover High School. It was also terrifying when parents heard that there was a shooting here at New Hanover High School. Of course, they were concerned about the safety of their children. Cassie Simmons was at the Martin Luther King Center where parents were asked to pick up their students once they were evacuated here from New Hanover High School. Cassie Simmons spoke with some of those parents.
Getting a call about a shooting at your child's school is every parent's worst nightmare. But unfortunately, on Monday, after just a week of being back in school, that nightmare became a reality for New Hanover High School. Tensions were high outside the MLK Center as parents gathered to reunite with their student and try to get answers about what was going on. For hours, parents waited while their student went through a head count at Williston Middle School, wondering if the shooter had been caught, if their child was injured, and why they couldn't claim their child sooner. Even after reuniting, many parents were still frustrated as they wondered, how could this happen in the first place?
I mean, they need to make the schools safer. Why ain't they got metal detectors? They're right here. They got everything they need. I don't understand. They need to. There should be no reason that the school's getting shot up or people are shooting at school. It's 2021. They should have that on lockdown.
Now, Mathis tells me that he's not sure he'll send his child back to class after today's traumatic event. Meanwhile, I spoke to one student who tells me he'll go back to class, but he wants at least a day off to recover. Cassie Simmons, WECT News.
All right, New Hanover County has set up a crisis intervention line for any students who need help because this was a devastating day for some of the students, and there is help. The number to speak with a mental health therapist from New Hanover County Health and Human Services is on your screen right now. It is 910-798-6501. The phone line is available in English and Spanish. I'm going to repeat that number once again, 910-798-6501. Now, John, the student that I spoke with earlier, I think gave a great description of how all of the students here felt today. Totally unexpected and fearful in the very early moments of that shooting. As Cassie found out from students at the MLK Center, as well as the student that I spoke to today, that student said he would be back in class tomorrow if school is in session. He feels that there will be enough police presence here and will feel safe. I will tell you though, John, I'm been speaking with people throughout the day as a product of New Hanover County Schools. This is something that we have not seen or heard, and it is very unsettling for parents here in this community. John?
And Fran, New Hanover County Commission Chair Julia Olson-Bozeman released a statement today, and she said no child should feel scared like they did today at New Hanover High School. She also released another part of the statement which said, and we're quoting her here, "I've also asked for a joint meeting with county commissioners, the school board, and our law enforcement partners to discuss and then take actions to do more to keep our schools safe and protect our kids so nothing like this happens again in our community. There's nothing more important than keeping our children safe," end quote. Now, the state's Attorney General shared his thoughts on social media about the shooting at New Hanover High School today. Attorney General Josh Stein saying on Twitter, and this is the quote, "Today's school shooting near New Hanover High School is deeply troubling. My prayers are with the victim and family. The details surrounding the event are still forthcoming. But one thing is for sure, we must protect our children, kids, from school shootings," end quote. Now, as Fran said, this is a developing story. We know there are many questions people in the community have, parents have, students have, and details not yet addressed. You can follow this story on our website, WECT.com, to get any update as they come into our newsroom. Make sure you turn on breaking news alerts on the WECT News app. That way you'll get a push alert straight to your phone. You would have been one of the first to know that a school shooting happened today at New Hanover High School if you had our news app and you had those breaking news alerts in place.